Hi friends, Emily Midgett here with you today on the Pinkfresh Studio YouTube channel, and today I have a special card created using a new press plate that I actually illustrated along with some of the brand new Pastel liquid watercolors that will be available very soon. These liquid watercolors are lovely shades that coordinate with the Pinkfresh ink line, and they come in this beautiful box, so great for storage. They're also going to be releasing the new Pinkfresh watercolor paper, and it's a really nice sturdy paper, 140 pounds, and it's vegan. So if that is a concern for you, that's something that you can rely on them to have vegan paper for you. And then what I have done with all three of the different sets, I have taken some of the Pinkfresh watercolor paper and divided it up with a permanent black marker and labeled all of the colors, and then I've just swatched them. And so this gives me a better idea of which color I want to reach for my next project. So I actually illustrated two different plates for this past release in December, and I am going to be using the Camellias plate today. You can see here I've just used the plain black detail black ink on the Pinkfresh watercolor paper. Then I've also used it as a hot foil plate. And I think that's one of my favorite things about these Better Press plates is that they can be used as Better Press plates or they can be used as hot foil plates. So for today, this is using the detail black ink from Pinkfresh. And what I've done is basically like the technique where you stamp off once so that you get a lesser concentration of ink color with your stamps. I have used the detail black ink. There it is with the hot foil, the solid hot foil plate from Pinkfresh. But I've used the stamping off technique, but with these Better Press plates. So basically, I inked up my Better Press plate, ran it through my machine with the full concentration of the black detail black ink from Pinkfresh, which is waterproof and Copic marker friendly. And then, without cleaning it off or anything, I ran it another sheet of cardstock of watercolor paper from Pinkfresh through my machine with that residual ink left on the plate, on the press plate. And that gives me, it's not quite no-line watercolor look, but it's close. It's a lot more subtle than if you would use the full strength black ink on your press plate. So I just wanted something, I wanted to experiment and it created something that was a little bit more subtle and a little bit less intense because I'm going to be using these pastel liquid watercolors. Now, pastel watercolors for me, they're interesting. They are different, definitely different from your typical pan watercolors, which is what I am used to using. But the colors are so beautiful and so vibrant that it makes it fun to work with them. So these watercolors, one of the tricks that I have found with these watercolors is that it is very important to know how much water is on your paintbrush. If you have too much water on your paintbrush, that water on your paintbrush is going to mix with the watercolor, the liquid watercolors, and it's either going to completely dilute the color down or it's going to make that watercolor spread so much so that you don't have any definition or shadowing. It's going to make it look completely flat. So what I found works well is I use my stamp chamois, my damp stamp chamois, to dab my paintbrush on when I am working with watercolor anyway. I dabbed it a little bit extra to get a little bit more of that clean water off of my paintbrush before trying to move the color. So basically, I lay some of the liquid watercolor down, clean my brush, and then wipe it on my stamp chamois a couple of extra times. This allows the water that's kind of up inside, close to the ferrule, it helps that water to be removed, and that way you have a little bit more control over where these liquid watercolors go. Because they're already wet, you don't need to add any extra moisture to them. So that is one trick that I found. Another trick that I found was that these watercolors play nicely with the detail black ink from Pinkfresh. There was a little bit of, it kind of sucked the watercolor in when I used the Spellbinders ink, which is technically waterproof. But these watercolors did not play as nicely with the Better Press inks as it did with the detail inks. So here you can see I have used Soft Lilac and Slumber inks from the liquid watercolors from the Pastel liquid watercolor set. And so I've just used those two watercolors separately. I used, the first layer was Soft Lilac, the second layer was Slumber to add a little bit of extra shadow and a little bit more blue color. Now I have taken 3 drops of Soft Lilac with 1 drop of Slumber. And that has created this lovely shade of kind of blue lavender. So you can see on the top, I have the completely plain Slumber. On the bottom, the Soft Lilac. And in the middle is the combination of the two. And so it creates this very lovely, soft, subtle, bluish lavender color. And so that's one of my favorite things about working with the liquid watercolors is that you have the ability to mix custom colors consistently. So if you know, I want 3 drops of lilac and 1 drop of Slumber, that will give me this color. So it would be really easy to make a swatch book with little recipes on it. So that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to experimenting more with these watercolors and creating these completely custom colors based on how many drops of color I add to my palette. I just have a ceramic palette that has some little shallow wells on it, but they have very inexpensive plastic palettes that you can get at your basic art supply store. But so here I am using, this is Sage, and it's a very soft, lovely green. And for the foliage, this Camellias corner image has some large foliage pieces, some large pieces of leaves and things, some clusters. And so now I'm going to mix a custom color of just using the Slumber and the Sage together for those little foliage sprigs. So here you can see it's the Slumber on the top, the Sage on the bottom, and the middle was the combination of the two. So I'm just doing some very basic watercoloring, adding the color to those little foliage sprigs that are kind of peeking around from the different little clusters of flowers and leaves. But it's a great way to extend your color palette because you can mix and match the colors together. You can experiment and create all different kinds of colors. Don't just stick to the colors that you think might go together. Play with it. These watercolors will last for a very long time because they are very concentrated and very vivid colors. So you don't need a ton of color to create really vivid, beautiful watercoloring. So there's the finished product. There's the finished image. Now I have taken this watercolor paper from Pinkfresh is a very good match for the porcelain Better Press paper from Spellbinders. And I have taken the Ornate Trellis Better Press plate, and I'm just going to use it as kind of like an embossing folder. I'm going to place it on my Better Press platen, and then I'm going to tape this panel of porcelain Better Press paper to my top piece and run it through without any ink on it. And this creates the texture. I'm sorry, my camera was very shaky right here, so that's why you don't see a ton of me ink blending, but you guys know how to do that. But I blended Soft Lilac and Slumber ink on the one corner opposite of where the floral was. But so this, using it without any ink allows you to create that lovely texture and allows you to use these Better Press plates for more than just the letterpress, more than just hot foil. It gives you one more thing one more use for these. So they really are very useful tools to have in your crafty stash. You don't have to use them just as they are intended. There's lots of ways to use them. So I've die cut the camellias, the watercolored camellias with the coordinating die, and popped it up on that blended background that we created using the Ornate Trellis background Better Press plate. And I've added a sentiment that was made using the Better Press and the detail black ink. And now I'm just adding a few lilac clear drops to my card front just to add a little bit of extra shine. And I think I love that all of the different color schemes coordinate. You've got the lilac clear drops, the lilac ink, and the lilac clear watercolor or liquid watercolors. And it's so great to have that cohesive feel to the entire card, to each element of the card. So that's all for my project today. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something. If you have questions about the liquid watercolors, feel free to send me an email or drop a comment in the comment section here on YouTube. And if you like the video, give us a thumbs up and maybe hit the subscribe button to see more content from us in the future. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.